Now I'm here with artist Eric McRay. Welcome, Eric, to the Clayton Center.
Thank you so much.
And Eric, you have an exhibit of abstract art from the 40s and 50s, kind of inspired?
Yes, ma'am. Abstract expressionist, more color fill inspired paintings.
Can you tell us what kind of features would label that as from that period? What are the key elements?
Some of the artists that I really admire and the kind of style of work that I've kind of been strongly influenced by is abstract expressionist painting, color fill. I grew up in Washington, D.C., so in Washington there was the D.C. Color fill painters. So I saw a lot of that work when I was a young man and went to the Corcoran and the National Gallery and saw works of that nature. So now, many years later, as a seasoned artist, I've kind of gone back to influences of those earlier periods of modernist painting and just exploring color, expressionistic brushstroke, the texture and composition, all those kind of issues that are more non-specific, not objective, to at the same time using them to communicate with my viewer on an intellectual and a spiritual level.
Now, when did you start? You've been an artist your whole life.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
How tiny were you when you first started doing art?
When I first started doing art, I was, well, you know, they say kids start off coloring with crayons. So I'll say that's when I first started, when I was very young, and creating art. And what happened was that instead of stop making art, I continued. Most people start and stop. And so it's been my lifelong vocation, what I call my great obsession. And I've been making art and getting acknowledged as an artist fairly young, maybe in the first grade, second grade. And it's just been my whole life I've been doing this, and obtained a scholarship to college and have a degree in art and built a business and a career as an artist. And I have a studio in downtown Raleigh at Art Space, and I've been there almost 18 years.
Wow. It's so amazing to have an artist that doesn't have a plan B, that you've been able to actually make this your career.
Well, sometimes I feel I'm on plan G, you know. But when I left art school, I worked in graphic design and signage and things. And for about a 10-year period, I worked in corporate America. I was doing, worked in the biomedical field, financial services. I also did, worked in the computer industry. So I worked in IT. And that's for about a 10-year period. But at the same time, I was also making my art, exhibiting art, and selling my art. And at a certain point, I grew weary of people saying, oh, you did all that art, so why are you here? And I realized I had gotten off my path. I learned a great amount in these different industries and businesses, and it really honed my skill set. But I realized I was outside of my calling and off my path. So that's when I went full-time again as an artist about 18 years ago. And so I've been working full-time as an artist.
And how big a part of your professional artist career is teaching?
I do some teaching. I don't do a lot. I teach at the Cary Art Center. I teach also at Jerry's Artorama, teach workshops with them. And I do workshops periodically in different places, depending on what comes up. But I really focus, I've tried not to let the teaching take up too much of my time. I enjoy it, but as I became more popular teacher, I found my personal painting time started to shrink and shrink and shrink. So I really put a big emphasis on creating art in my studio and displaying and selling my work. And the works in this exhibition are a byproduct of me really like targeting in and focusing and putting a lot of emphasis on new works. And so that's what these works are.
Now, in the past, you've done a jazz series.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well known for, and a coastal series.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Well, my jazz work is, I painted jazz off and on for about 20 years. I think I created my first jazz work in 1995. And my coastal and my landscape work was work I worked on off and on for many years. And what happened with those was more so an exploration with the landscapes, really studying and traveling through North and South Carolina. And the jazz work was more so my passion for music and jazz and vicariously living through musicians coming out. So at a certain point, I kind of felt more and more of a closure to those previous works and just delved headfirst into these new abstract works.
So what's next, or is that still a secret?
Well, I do have some other things up my sleeve, and I have some other projects in my studio. I'm kind of contemplating, bouncing around some ideas. I'm always trying to stay fresh and relevant and stay busy producing. A big part of being an artist to me is actually being productive, and not so much just the lifestyle or the image and all the externals that people get caught up into. But for me, it's more so like, how many paintings did I produce? And when it's all said and done and I'm no longer here, people can look back and say, well, this is what he accomplished. So my short-term, long-term goal is to produce a considerable amount of abstract art. And I'm working on some large-scale abstractions now.
How far and wide do your sales reach?
Well, because of the internet, I can sell pretty broadly. But even before the internet, I had the good fortune of selling a lot of work and works being I work in Australia, South Africa, Japan, parts of Europe, across the United States. My work's better traveled than I am, let me put it that way. So I've been very fortunate. I've been very, very fortunate.
So where you are at Art Space, people can come by First Friday and probably maybe some other times actually visit your studio downtown. Yeah,
well, my studio in downtown Raleigh, I'm not there as much as I used to be, so it's kind of by appointment. But I have the good fortune of being able to have company there and guests come in and can see my work, collect my work, see my creative process. And also a lot of those collectors that I've obtained have been from coming into Art Space and from galleries and exhibitions I've had.
And you have a website that people could see more of your work and get in touch with you through?
Yeah, my website's ericmcray.com, and their last name is spelled M-C-R-A-Y. Not McRay, McRay, M-C-R-A-Y, ericmcray.com. And I'm on Facebook, Twitter, all the social media also.
Well, thank you so much for exhibiting us with us here.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. It's exciting. I'm having a great time.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Our December exhibit will be December 8th here at the Clayton Center, and we will be featuring artists Tammy Kaufman and Jana Williams. Tammy Kaufman does pastel landscapes that are ethereal and beautiful, and Jana Williams does whimsical animals. It's going to be a great show. Hope to see you there.